British extracted $45 trillion worth of resources from India. Comically impossible, because they would starve so many of the Indian population, there'd be no way for the population to grow. Because we have to ask, how much stuff was in the Indian economy from 1765 to 1938? These are wildly high numbers. So the British took 45 trillion, or 95.7% of the Indian economy, these ridiculous numbers, leaving the Indians to manage with the remaining 4.3% of what they produced. This is a joke. And if we were to use more realistic numbers, realistic assumptions about the population and about the size of the Indian economy over these years, it becomes apparent that India did not have $45 trillion worth of stuff to loot. This is impossible. But the reality is that the British Empire as a whole didn't appear to confer any, at least noticeable, economic benefit to Britain. The height of the British Empire was also precisely the time frame in which Britain began falling. It was no longer exceptional. So if Britain is getting trillions and trillions of loot from India, well, it doesn't appear to be doing them a whole lot of good. In fact, after 1948, when India was released, the growth of the British economy accelerated. And that should give you pause, because wait a minute, if the British economy was built on the back of India and all the loot they were getting from India, shouldn't the British economy have faced a severe downturn following India's independence? And yet, just the opposite. It's as if a ball and chain had been released from Britain. Ooh, ain't that a deep cut? India was far from being some great benefit to Britain, but was in fact a financial drain. As Britain is securing control over India, they're starting to economically fall back into the pack of Western Europe. The Indians ask, well, if you didn't rape me, why am I poor? You're poor because of choices made by Indians most responsible for their own situation. It is much easier psychologically to find a scapegoat, and who other than the British themselves to serve the role as this scapegoat? Rape and revenge narratives and scapegoats are ubiquitous throughout history, and the British are a scapegoat in the Indian rape and revenge narrative. British rule led to a period of unprecedented economic and population growth and a rise in literacy. You cooked up these myths that England oppressed you, but let's be clear, it is far-right hate speech, and it is not only factually wrong, but morally wrong. And it is a result of envy, wrath, and racism.